Well, hello everyone. This panel is a panel to discuss, I guess, freedom and authoritarianism. And Matt...
Why do you look at me when you say authoritarianism?
Yes, sir. We in the West, we talk about freedom a lot. We talk about the importance of freedom, but I don't think we really... I get the sense that sometimes, particularly the younger generation, we don't have an appreciation of what the alternative is, authoritarianism. And the man to my left, Ted Hui, you were a member of Parliament in Hong Kong.
Yes.
When the CCP started cracking down on students in particular.
Correct.
But can you tell us your experience about being a member in Parliament and, where you came from, what changed, and perhaps where you are now?
Yeah, I didn't serve in the Parliament for very long. It's only for one term. But within that term, that's a turning point of Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So we went from debating in the Parliament peacefully about public policies, even though we didn't have one man, one vote democracy, but it was fine. But suddenly, the civil society grew very strong in Hong Kong. So Beijing was terrified. So we won local elections, landslide win. So Beijing decided it's time to stop. We can't let you grow. So they disqualified all of us, the Democrats, oppositions, and put majority of us into jail. So I'm the few lucky ones who made it out of the country, living in exile now.
Yeah. And so what does the CCP do? Do they try to influence you now? And do you have family back in Hong Kong? And if you don't, those that do, what happens to them?
Yeah, now even in Australia, I am still advocating freedom, democracy in Hong Kong because they can't speak up. No one, they are too scared.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you. I still do it, but not without trouble. So the CCP's long arm is after me, so they issued arrest warrants against me, 23 criminal charges, bounty over my head, and bankruptcy orders, confiscation of assets, everything that they can do. And my relative back in Hong Kong, they are still harassed by security police of Hong Kong very constantly. So they would come up to their places, do a morning raid, and then take them to police stations, interrogate them for a whole day, and then release them.
Yeah, it must be heartbreaking for you, knowing and love. I mean, most Australians travelled to Hong Kong before the handover, and I think it'd be fair to say we loved Hong Kong, didn't we? It was a testament to me, it was a testament to the capitalist system. There's nothing much there except the ability to trade.
Yeah, and they still have the form of it, but the intrinsic value has really collapsed.
Yeah, yeah. Matt, we had an experience, didn't we, back in 2019 at the height of the student protests. Perhaps you could share that with the audience.
Yeah, I don't know if you all know Gordon Chang, who's on our CPAC board, but he's a good guy. His wife Lydia is a Hong Konger, and they were in touch with friends in Hong Kong. And when the protests occurred, they didn't really want a lot of outsiders. It was a student movement, a young person's movement, and Gordon and Lydia were told that they would actually like CPAC to come over. So when we got the final invitation or the final word, I think we were in Seoul or
Japan.
Tokyo.
Tokyo. Yeah.
We were in Tokyo, and we got the other CPAC heads together. Andrew was there, I was there, others, and we all asked each other, were we all going to make this dangerous trip to go in and stand with all of you brave people? And we decided that we would go. And, we were worried about it. Veronica Birkenstock, who's on our board, who's here, she's the beautiful woman with the long blonde hair. She's on our board, and she went with us as well. And we were talking about today how we, wrote phone numbers on our, she wrote a phone number on the bottom of her foot, because we didn't know what was going to happen, right? It was really kind of crazy. And we went to the first protest at the police station. Do you remember the name of it, Andrew?
No, I don't. No.
We go to the police station, and they have the lasers on their long rifles, and You'd see the laser on people's foreheads. So there's Veronica right there. You'd see the lasers on people's foreheads, and that's a very sobering experience. Because you're there, you think that you're, in an American or democratic sense, you're protesting. And, you realize that these were really brave people. And it was an honor to be there with them. And I still worry about what happened to all those people. Some as young as 12. Some of the people we met with are either in prison. Jimmy Lai is in prison.
Yeah.
Others have seemed to have disappeared.
Yeah, the meeting with Jimmy Lai was incredible in that he was determined to stay. Did you know Jimmy Lai personally?
Yeah, I know Jimmy Lai personally.
Yeah.
So we were friends back in Hong Kong. Not close one, but from time to time he would invite us people, Democrats, to his house for dinners, and we'll talk about our hope for futures, Hong Kong, freedom and democracy that might come one day. And I still remember he mentioned about how he decided to stay. He knew what would happen to him, jail time for a very long time.
He knew.
He knew it. He said he's like the captain of the ship. It's sinking, but I can't leave my people just there. Yeah.
We asked him. We had dinner at his house right before we left, and I'm a very practical person. I'm like, Jimmy, you can see what's happening. You're worth billions of dollars. Shouldn't you get out of here? They're going to make an example of you. He's so much courage. I just pray that I could one day have that much courage. He just said, no, I'm staying here with my people. And I said, well, what about your kids? You got to get your kids out of here. I was feeling a greater sense of emergency. I have 5 kids. I was thinking, well, what would I do with my kids? And he said, well, one of my sons is an investment banker. And I, imagined this very successful young Hong Konger. And I said, well, what's he doing? He said, last night he went out and bought his black backpack and we used to call them almost like those ninja outfits, the mask so they couldn't do the recognition software. He basically got his street outfit on, and his investment banker son was going to join the other protesters instead of taking his money and fleeing the situation, which was a perfectly rational and understandable thing to do, but they stayed there. He's in prison today, and he's an amazing person.
Yeah, a billionaire that could go anywhere in the world and have the greatest life that some of us can only dream of, and he decided to stay, and he's currently in jail. Matt, if you recall, the reason that prompted us to finally make that trip was that we had a young student protester that was trying to make the trip from Hong Kong to Tokyo.
Oh, that's right.
CPAC.
Yeah.
And he was dragged off the plane by the police and taken away. And because of that, that's that prompted us and Veronica and the others to go. And if you recall, we went through the airport, and you had stripped yourself of all your electronics and...
yeah, you said that correct. I had not stripped myself, but I had given my phone away and stuff.
We'll get to the stripping later, but... and I remember thinking, having been a visitor to Hong Kong, so many times, I just thought this is just a massive overreaction. Americans on tour, they're a little bit to learn. My goodness, you were right, because we were going through the airport, these black masked sort of police, but they weren't unmarked. They jumped in front of us with these, looked like pistols. I thought we were about to get shot in the face. And I think they were taking high definition photos of us.
Well, they were also taking our temperature, which was an indicator for what was right around the corner, which is the unleashing of this terrible virus. And so they walked at one person. I thought they were more like in a hazmat outfit, and they came right up to you, Veronica, with a gun pointing at her head. I think it was just a thermostat. I mean, whatever you call it, a thermometer, but sure scared the hell out of us. And we had decided, we knew they were surveilling us. So it wasn't like we were there without them knowing. And they ended up bombing Jimmy Lai's house right after we left his house for dinner. So they were definitely sending the Americans, an intimidation message to go home. And as I told you earlier, I'm not as courageous as Jimmy Lai. And so I was like, we got to get the hell out of here. They're bombing the places where we're going. And so we got to the airport, Andrew, remember, and we all kind of separated. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Argo. What a great movie. Once again, those people are a lot more courageous than us, but the idea of just getting on that plane and getting out of there, it's all I could think about. So we thought if we didn't have all the Americans bunched together, but we separated, maybe that would be less conspicuous. And I remember there was this big line of security and how many of us there were, and I was tracking where they all were. I could see, no offense, I was one of the tallest people in Hong Kong, but I could see exactly where all the Americans were, and they all, even Gordon and Lydia got through. I was like, they're going to for sure stop him because he is such an agitator, such a courageous guy. We all got through that security. We got on the plane, and all I could think of is getting in the air. Remember, just wanted to get in the air. But then you feel guilty because you think about, Ted, the people who couldn't get on the plane and leave. They were stuck in the fight, and it really brings it home because that same CPAC where Andy Chan was detained was the same year, I believe, that they wouldn't give us our visas here, or maybe the following year. So I remember thinking, why would you arrest a man just because he was going to give a speech at a CPAC? Well, then it was sobering that CPAC was making a difference, so I felt good about that. And then I realized, well, what's the difference between Australia telling us we can't have a visa and China not allowing someone to give a speech in Tokyo? I hate to tell you, folks, it's kind of all the same thing.
So, Ted, just relating back to that period where the protests were in full flight, what was your feeling as an MP? Like, did you know where that was going, or did you think this was a temporary protest? Where were you at that point?
That's historic, and the protest to that scale, that massive, was unprecedented at that time. So we didn't know. People were very angry. And young people, they told people like us that just leave me. If I die there in the protest, I die there. So it's like the last battle, and if we didn't win this time, and that would be the end. So young people so courageous, they were so determined, but our role, it's hard to talk about that. Yeah, it's bitter. But we try so hard to stand in front line to yell at the police, don't shoot the kids. Yeah, they are peaceful. They just love Hong Kong. Yeah, that's why they were doing it. I still remember that feeling.
Yeah, Matt and I went to a couple of protests and stood with the kids, and I have these two enduring memories from that in the rain. Firstly, the gas canister guns, pointed straight at your face. It's very intimidating. And some, as Matt said, you can see the red dots moving through the crowd. It's very intimidating. And the other...
That was the train station, right?
That's right.
Where it was raining and the kids were lined on this staircase.
That's right.
And they started singing their songs. And then, as an American, it gets me a little emotional. They started singing my songs. They knew my songs.
Yeah.
And that was right in the middle of America, saying that my songs were racist. And the people of another race are singing our songs because they think it represents freedom.
Yeah.
That's how insane it was.
Yeah. Do you remember how that came to pass? It was raining, and you put your CPAC umbrellas up.
Yeah.
And they started singing Land of Hope and Glory. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it was...
That's very sad. You think about that. It's like begging for freedom.
Yeah.
And anything that represents freedom, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So we're at this train station. The kids are... Young people are... Everybody looks young to me these days, but they're up the stairs. And then these commuters would walk by and see the kids singing. And I remember seeing one guy, older guy, with a briefcase. He was clearly just trying to go about his work. And he kind of turned around, got on the steps with the kids and started singing. You saw grandmas come, join them. And this is why the police are really bustling around them. It's a very, dangerous thing to do. But it'll be indelible in my mind. And I hope that we all understand where we are as we have our civilization, we have our Western civilization, we have what did Tony Abbott say? Our Anglo-Celtic tradition. God, I love that. That's a great phrase. I'm going to borrow that one. But it's, we have to stop letting them demonize it because everybody all over the world really wants that in the end for their family.
And Ted, what do you think? You've been a Hong Kong MP, you've lived that, you've got arrest warrants out on you. If you travel back there, you'll certainly end up in jail. What do you think? What's the message you want to give the Australian audience, leaning back on your experience?
I think we had a lot of imagination about futures, freedom, democracy. We thought we would get there. We thought even though we can't achieve that, we would just stay there. That would be the status quo. So we took it for granted somehow that freedom would remain, but it doesn't. It collapsed overnight, in days and months. So I think that's a message to people living in freedom, that we need to keep fighting for it, protecting it from danger.
You know, my recollection of the chain of events was that your governing entity was trying to figure out how to quell the protests, but also manage the protests, because there was still a lot of Western media there. So it was a PR disaster. But what happened that intervened, the most noxious idea of this, then the virus spread, and they were able to shut down all of our schools and churches and communities, and they were able to shut down things in Hong Kong. And that essentially ended the protests and allowed the government to get away with some of the most heinous things of shutting it down. So, when we normalize the idea that we don't have the freedom to speak, or we don't have the freedom to assemble, or we don't have the freedom to worship, we're giving the bad guys a green light to do whatever the heck they want.
Yeah. Ted, I know you're still active in speaking out against what's happening in Hong Kong. Is there a message that you might want to convey to your friends or family that are still back in what is your hometown?
Yes, to those fellow Hong Kongers, I want them to know they feel very powerless, but look at me, we are still here. We are still fighting. There are people out there, and we are building up allies here in Australia, in Europe, in the US, different parts of the world. And I think it's just a long battle, but we will fight back. So I hope that they still have that hope inside, that they don't give up.
Yeah, well done. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Ted Hu again, a brave fighter.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you.